Well, is the Marvel Universe about to get more magical? Well, after the success of Agatha All Along, another rumor has bubbled back to the surface, just like out of a cauldron, and we've got a new report about a potential Strange Academy series on Disney+. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about why this is an awesome idea, especially if you are a fan of the comics, and who the story comes from, because, that's always important. Well, if you remember back when the Marvel Universe kicked off, they kind of shied away from magic. The initial introduction of magic in Thor kind of saw them dance around it a little bit and more explain it as alien science. Now, ever since Doctor Strange, though, came to life in the MCU, magic has been growing in power and impact with almost every MCU feature. And recently, with Agatha All Along, and the pretty big expansion of the magical roster in the Marvel Universe, well, magic is here to stay, and it sounds like Marvel is looking for the next generation. For quite a long time, there's been a bit of an ongoing rumor about a Strange Academy series. Now, in the Marvel Universe, Strange Academy is basically a school, very similar to Xavier's school, but for young magical characters. The comics saw the introduction of a lot of new faces into the Marvel Universe, at least in the comics, and this has been something we've heard about for a long time, but often it felt like a bit of a fan wish, but not something Marvel was actually working on. Now, like I said, we had previously heard it was in the development stages, but now we have a bit of an update from Daniel Richtman. Now, as I always say, Daniel Richtman is not Marvel Studios, it's not from Kevin Feige or official channel from Disney, so we want to take it with a grain of salt. We also want to recognize the track record that Richtman has. It's more than a bit solid, and especially when it comes to these kind of stories, he's often spot on. Now, what he is reporting is that a Strange Academy series for Disney Plus is now, quote, officially in development. Now, obviously nothing's official till it comes from Kevin Feige himself, but it sounds like behind the scenes, this project is finally getting some legs and starting to move forward. Now, like I said, if you're unfamiliar with Strange Academy, it was a school founded by Doctor Strange, and it was meant to train the young sorcerers of the world on how to use not just sorcery, but magical artifacts. Now, the coolest thing about the series, though, is the ensemble of professors, because this was basically Hogwarts in the Marvel Universe, but it included a lot of magical faces. This included Man-Thing, the Scarlet Witch, Agatha Harkness, Magic, and even Jennifer Kale. And as we run down this list, you're starting to see why Marvel might be returning to this, and I specifically mean Jennifer Kale. The last time we saw Jennifer Kale, she was floating off into the sunset at the end of Agatha All Along. Her bond had been broken and her magical powers restored, and it seemed like to me, based on how this character was written for the show, well, she was one that was given a path into the future, and since Man-Thing has already been introduced, well, Jennifer Kale might have a place to stay here. Now, typically the students of the school are not a lot of well-known faces, and aren't characters a lot of people are familiar with, and if the show moves forward, we might see a bit of a different class. I would not be surprised if Xochitl Gomez's American Chavez or Joe Locke's Wiccan somehow find their way into the series. It also would be a great place for Catherine Hahn to once return, as well as Benedict Wong's Wong character, all of which fit well into the series. Now, to me, I don't know how big of a part Doctor Strange himself will have in the show. Cumberbatch is a pretty high-end actor, and I do think he very well might make a cameo, but I don't know if he is going to be a series regular, or even what this series potentially looks like. Strange Academy could really make a neat series and would introduce people to a lot of new Marvel characters. The success of Skeleton Crew recently could be encouraging Marvel Studios to give this a second shot. Obviously, the Goonies-like nature of that adventure story could be told with these characters, and instead of a group of young adventurers, you have a group of young wizards. Well, like I said, it's basically Hogwarts meets the Marvel Universe, and to me, that sounds like dollars. The only downside I see is, like I said, a lot of unfamiliar characters, but I do believe this would be an opportunity for Marvel to introduce a lot of new faces, and this particular set of characters come with a lot of low expectations and not a lot of baggage, which I feel like moving down the road is something Marvel Studios is definitely going to lean into. We know Doctor Strange is going to play a massive role moving forward. He's apparently at the center of the conclusion of the multiverse saga, so having this Strange Academy set up to follow that up, maybe even after his death, well, that's definitely something that fans I think would respond to, and if you know people who are fans of the Strange Academy comics, you'll be able to tell by their enthusiasm how great of an idea this might be. But if it actually happens, well, we're going to have to wait and see. Now, before you take off, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, ring that bell for all the updates, and make sure you get every notification because we do daily Marvel and DC content and we don't want you to miss any news.